This week, Mark and I sat down and we talked about school voucher systems and the ability to be able to send your child where you want to, and honestly, the success of the public school system and the private school system in Southern Maryland. So check it out.
All right, hot topic today.
Well, maybe.
For some, I guess. Either that or we're going to go right over everybody's heads. You don't have to put that away. We can still talk to ChatGPT.
ChatGPT?
Yes.
Is that what we're doing our planning session
So
with
in our planning
ChatGPT?
session, we were like, we're going to ask ChatGPT crazy stuff. By the way, that's not our topic today.
No.
So we started asking
We're getting
questions, and then Chris was informing me that he got into an argument with ChatGPT last week. And it was about whether or not ChatGPT thinks that school vouchers are a good idea. So let's start with, what is a school voucher?
Okay, so
Or the idea of a school
Yeah, no.
voucher.
I'll do it. I'll take that. Let's just start with the government spends a certain amount of money per pupil in public education.
Okay.
Right? So I was trying to find what locals are. I think I see $13, $14, $15, $17, $18,000 per pupil across the state. And I don't have the locals pulled up yet. So a school voucher system would mean that as a parent, you would be given a voucher for your child. The system means that the money follows the pupil, not the school.
Gotcha.
So you would have, for one pupil, one student, you would have that amount of money that gets allotted, and you can choose to send your child to whichever school
you want.
That's right, whether it's a public school, private school, or wherever. So the concept is that, in my opinion, the successful schools would thrive,
Right.
and the less successful schools would eventually would either raise their standards and become better, right? Or they would fall to the wayside and then students wouldn't go there.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't want to say supply and demand because it's not that. It's more like, successful, you're going to send your kid I would think you would send your kid to a more successful school.
Unless you choose not to. Send your kid to a more successful
school. Maybe it's the school that's around your corner.
Because you don't care, and that could be a more systemic issue, right?
Well, that could absolutely be a more systemic issue. I think most parents care.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that they don't care, but
I think that there are parents that don't care.
Yeah.
The parents that don't care are the parents that tend to live in areas that don't have great schools to begin with, and then obviously aren't going to make a conscious choice to.
Well, the argument has always been, in my opinion, it really is the private-public argument, right?
Yeah.
And that was, public schools receive their money from the government, and they are funded at, tens of thousands of dollars per pupil. Right, and then, for example, if you send your kids to private school, you're paying for your kids to go to that private school, but your tax dollars are still paying for someone else's kid to go to a public school.
I agree 100%.
Right, and so I always argued, maybe the government could have given somebody who sends their child to private school because there's some sort of tax credit or a voucher to those people, because they're not impacting the public school system.
Right.
All you're doing is helping fund other students' price per pupil.
Right. So a couple things to note. So first of all, my 6-year-old goes to private school.
Okay.
I send him to private school because I believe it's a better education. I believe it's a better environment. Environment being a key factor because our school system has completely lost all control. And it's really sad to see what's happened because, there are kids that disrupt the classroom and things that go on in schools that when you or I was in school would not fly.
No.
I remember, if you were disrupting, they would pick you up and drag you out of the classroom.
I just said the other day, Mark, my elementary principal literally had a paddle above his desk.
Yeah, right.
Literally mounted on the wall was a big paddle above his desk. I don't know if anybody
wasn't that extreme for me.
No, I remember.
But nonetheless, like, if you were disrupting class, they'd pick you up and drag you out to the hallway and take you out of the classroom.
Right.
But now, they can't touch a kid.
Right.
So,
and I mean, I don't know that I don't know that I have a problem with the
not touching.
Yeah, because the problem is one person may handle it differently than another person.
Well, that's a whole nother issue, though.
No, I agree. I mean,
that's just like policing.
Well,
it's the same thing, right?
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
If you can't lay your hands on a citizen, how are you supposed to stop them from doing what they're doing?
Right.
Right. I mean, that's essentially what it boils down to.
Yeah.
And in turn, if you can't do that, if you don't have the ability to interject and implement some sort of control, then you've lost all control. So anyways, we got off on a tangent.
Yeah, no. I was thinking, I wanted to talk there's a misconception also about the voucher system that I think is important to understand. I also believe that a voucher system would be extremely beneficial to the less fortunate.
Yeah.
Right? Suppose you're in an area where your school system is horrible and you can't afford to be outside of this particular region that provides a school that you're not happy with.
Now you could use your voucher to go somewhere else.
To take them somewhere else. Right?
So, but how do you stop the demand for wherever somewhere else is? So say everybody gets this voucher, everybody's going to want to go to this one particular school or this one particular district.
Right.
What's going to happen to
that district?
Yeah.
What do you think?
The price is going to go up.
Maybe it's going to be even more successful. Maybe it's going to.
So you think you just
thrive.
Allow the injection of more kids into that one? There's got to be a balancing act. At some point, somebody loses.
I get it. You know what? It's interesting right now. You know who's losing is the public school system in the state of Maryland.
Oh, agreed.
Let's be real.
Well, let's go back to that subject. So I send my kid to private school because I believe that it's a better education. It's a better environment, right?
Right.
Costs me $7,000 a year to do so.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, right? Like $7,000 to educate your kid, and they're getting the same or better. I'm going to be politically correct here. The same or better education than a child in the public school system for half.
It's about half.
I think half. Now, I mean, I know that the teachers aren't as necessarily as well paid, but they seem to be as committed or more committed in some cases, than some other teachers. And I'm going to say this loud and clear. I am not knocking teachers in any way. I'm a full supporter of public school teachers, private school teachers, and there are some amazing teachers in Southern Maryland. Period.
Definitely.
Right. This is a bigger issue than the teacher, I think, right now.
No.
I think this is
more about the spending. It's above the teachers.
It is. I always looked at
doesn't money fix everything? Doesn't more money fix everything, right? Because that's always the answer.
Well,
in government it is,
but
it's like we just need more money. If we had more money, then we could do right.
Baltimore City receives one of the highest funded school districts.
That's where I was leading you.
I knew you were. I knew where you were going with it. Yeah. Come on, one of the highest funded school districts, I think, in the country.
I think it's number 2.
And it's probably one of the lowest.
It's one of the worst.
One of the worst as well.
Yeah.
So money doesn't solve education.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't. There's no way around it, and that is clearly defined when you can pay half as much to send your kid to a private school and they get the same education.
Where we're talking about, if we took money and created competition, that could be the solution. Because that's the difference, right? If you give everybody a voucher for $10,000 flat across the board, then and allow schools to compete for the pupil, for the student, the competition could be what drives everything.
I just wish
it's more of a more free type economy.
I just wish someone would have the guts to take this on and actually, I hate to say experiment with it, but let it happen somewhere.
Yeah.
Right? Let's see the success story or failure, right? Let's be real. I don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
ChatGPT doesn't know what's going to happen because we asked it.
Yeah.
Right? If we can come up with see if it truly is successful, and if some of the less, the poorer quality schools, either they succeed or not.
Why do you feel like public education as a whole is not as successful as it should be?
I think that's a multifaceted issue. Right now, I sound like ChatGPT now.
Yeah, you're giving your disclaimer.
It's a multifaceted issue.
I'm not updated with today's data.
Yeah, and there's truth to that. I get it, but I'm not saying that. I don't think. I think there's areas where public schools are thriving, and they're doing great things. Right?
Can I give you my answer?
I want you to.
Because it doesn't have to.
Well,
it doesn't have to be successful.
Right?
No,
you're right.
I mean, that pretty much sums up all government.
Okay, so
there's
wait a minute.
always more money. You're always going to be refunded, right? There's no merit base to it. You don't have to be successful.
You know what? I think I'm gonna put a calling out right now. I think we need to bring the superintendent of schools in here.
Ooh. And have this conversation?
I think we do.
We probably just pissed a couple of them off.
And that's what I mean. I think we're not trying to do that. We never try to do that, but we try to get real and talk about real topics. And I think, having someone in here could hey, educate me. That's what you do, right? Educate me on this topic. Tell me why I'm wrong, and I want to hear it.
I'm curious to see, but I don't know that they'll necessarily say that we are wrong.
Well, maybe not. And that's okay too. I already know that there's, and I'll repeat it again because I don't want to, look like I'm lambasting the public school system. I'm a product of public school,
Me too.
And but I got to tell you, I think that the public school systems here are making leaps and strides, and I see a lot of really cool things happening in the public school system.
Yeah.
So that is truly a disclaimer that I believe in right now, and that's why I'd have no problem sitting down here and having this conversation with the superintendent.
But you think it could be better with vouchers? And
I do. I think
competition.
I don't think the issue is as broad as it is in some other areas, right? Like I feel like Southern Maryland in general has done a great job in public education, right? And I think there are areas where that doesn't work as well. And I don't know if it's involvement from, parent involvement, or whether it's, and I say parent, guardian involvement, whatever it is, or I already know it's not money. Right. It's just, it's funny. I think all this rooted from, it always frustrated me because I did send my children to private school, right?
Yeah.
And then, and it was a struggle for me to do that. Financially, it was a struggle for me to send them to private school.
Yeah, their school was already paid for.
Right. And that frustrated me. And then the other part of it that irritated me was every year the school system would, and I follow the county budgets, and every year the school system, no matter what, would ask for more money. Even if enrollment was down or whatever the situation was, it was always more money to fund the public school system.
Right.
And that just worked me, right? Like, because here I am paying for this, and struggling to pay for this, and you're asking for more money that ultimately is more of my money too, and I don't even have a kid going there.
I feel like it's a slippery slope with that argument, though. Because what about all the people that pay taxes that don't have kids or don't have kids
I
in
agree.
school?
I totally agree with you. But
so then they're like, hey, you know what? You want a voucher? I want a voucher too.
No, I totally get what you're saying.
I want a tax savings
No, I
too.
totally get what you're saying. And and someone said to me once before, it was a local delegate, and I heard him loud and clear, and that was, he said, remember, this is a choice you're making. You're choosing not to send your kid to public school, right? Yeah. So you're choosing to send them to a private school, and I get that, right? So it is it's a private decision that I made, and it's what I did, but it's one that you're making as well.
Right.
I just think if we're going to educate our children at a level that is far greater than anywhere in the world, right? That's our goal. To be the best educators in the world, right?
Now, how do you be the best at something?
Well, you
have to compete.
Well, that's true.
Championships are won based on competition.
Yeah.
You become the best athlete in the world by winning the Olympics, right?
Well, that's a great point.
So where is our competition?
Right.
I think that it may not necessarily, the voucher, to me, seems like a way to create competition, a way for parents to choose where to send their students based on whatever school is most competitive to earn said voucher. Maybe you can create the competition in a way that is that you don't necessarily have to have the voucher. You know?
No.
Maybe there's another way to create
maybe
the
there is,
but at the same time, like, there's also the specialty side of it too, because one school may be great with STEM. One school may be great, which is science, technology, engineering and math.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Another school may be great with sports.
Right.
Another school
arts.
may be great with arts. So, and that does kind of stink that you're limited to where the district that you live in, and that school that you live in, it may be the perfect place that you want to live.
Yeah.
But it may not support, and better yet, it may support one of your children, but not both or not all three.
It's interesting you say that, because I know that St. Mary's has their STEM program.
Right.
And if I'm not mistaken,
you can go to one school if it's not in your district.
So isn't that exactly a testament to what you just said?
Yeah.
Think about it. You could, because this school has a priority in mathematics, let's say, right? This school has a priority in science.
Yep.
Right? Not every pupil may not be right for those issues or those items, right? So what you said is a great testament for the competition among schools. I hate to call it the competition.
So it sounds like they're already doing some of that or experimenting.
Yeah, so maybe there's that would be a great analysis to see how successful that program has been. And if that program is successful, then that truly means that it's specializing pupils.
Yep.
And that might be what we need to do.
Assessing and figuring out.
Yeah.
Maybe it's based on a questionnaire. Maybe it's based on their performance in specific subjects.
I'm sure it has.
Maybe you have to qualify. Let the student compete.
Yeah. That's a concept as well, right?
Because let the student compete to earn that spot at said specialty school.
No, I agree with you.
But competition in all aspects is the only way to achieve true greatness. Just think about it. If you're in the gym by yourself, do you work as hard as if there's somebody standing
Say that
next to
again.
you?
Chris in the gym by himself.
but I mean, anybody. I don't know what I just dropped.
It might have been me.
But anyway, so think about it. If you're in the gym by yourself, you don't work as hard as when there's somebody next to you working.
Well, that makes sense.
That competition comes naturally for us as humans. So we have to figure out a way to create that competition.
I boil it down to our business again, right?
Yeah.
When I'm in a listing appointment and I know that I'm up against Mark Frisco, I put on my best game.
Come on.
It's true. It's what we do.
That's
right?
not true. I just call you up and say, Chris, let's split it.
This is true. Let's split it. Let's make it work. You're right. We have, right.
But no, it is true though. Like, and same for me. I mean, if I'm in competition or listing, I'm definitely working harder.
You're working harder, and
you're
giving
it my all.
Yeah.
Than if it's somebody that just came to me that I know is going to work with me anyways. And that doesn't mean that I don't give my all.
No.
in the job.
I get that. No, I totally get that.
It just means in the interview.
I totally get
in
that.
The interview for the job.
Yeah, I totally get that.
But yeah, I think that's how we do it. We create competition in the school system. So
I would really love for us to take on this topic with somebody who actually knows more about it than us, right? I think we should invite somebody in, and like I said, open invitation. Superintendent of schools, you're invited.
Yeah. Any of the superintendents here in Southern
superintendent in Southern Maryland.
If you want to come hatch it out with us and talk about this,
honestly, it's not even about hatching out. We'd love to talk about it and see and talk about the schools and what amazing things you're doing in the public school system.
But unless you've got a really good reason, don't come in here and ask for more money.
Yeah. You already did that at the budget hearings.
Right.
It's already over. All right. I guess with that,
we'll wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
All right.
We'll see you guys next week.